Hello, my name is Ruby Williams, and I'm an Aspen University doctoral student. And today I will present my action research proposal focused on women veterans who have experienced military sexual trauma and the role of art therapy in their healing journey and empowerment. I'm going to introduce an innovative, evidence-based approach to addressing the complex psychological wounds carried by women veterans, the integration of art therapy within a participatory action research framework. This model is not just a clinical intervention, it is a strategy for systemic change. The problem to be solved, the problem is that many women veterans remain underserved, and traditional care models do not always provide the healing space they need. Art therapy offers a unique, reflective way to address trauma and resilience. Action research is a technique that involves collaborative work and follows the steps of the look, think, act, and reflect approach to address women's health issues related to trauma and healthcare inequalities. The Veterans Health Administration determines military sexual trauma, which is when someone is sexually harassed or assaulted while serving in the military. And they consider this to be a top health priority. The VHA investigated the health associations of military sexual trauma, also known as MST, in the most diverse sample of U.S. women veterans analyzed to date. And this was in 2021. Consequently, female veterans encounter markedly elevated risk for post-traumatic stress disorder, persistent depression, and severe social isolation. Conventional talk therapies frequently provide inadequate, especially for trauma survivors who find it challenging to express their experiences orally. The goals of the Action Research Plan. Well, one, to empower women veterans to co-create interventions. It's not only to heal, but also to amplify the lived experiences of these women to inform future policy and services. Art therapy is a proven method for helping survivors express themselves non-verbally. It builds resiliency and it helps with the reflection. Finally, we'll use photo voice and YouTube videos, social media platform, in the final review. The veterans' voices become fundamental to the evidence, turning their personal healing into potential advocacy tools. And this will be done in over a 12-month review. Stakeholders to be involved. Action research emphasizes collaboration, and stakeholders work together as partners, not just observers in this process. So the women veterans are participants and co-researchers. Art therapists and clinicians are very vital in this study. Veteran peer support groups, community nonprofits, universities and clinics, policymakers, and funding agencies. A strong multi-sector cooperation ecosystem is crucial for the success of this participatory action research project. Women veterans will steer the collaboration with their data interpretation and experiences. They will receive safe, professional supervision from art therapists and clinicians for trauma work. Veteran peer support groups foster community and trust beyond the clinical environment. Recent studies in positive psychology indicate that individuals who experience trauma can develop post-traumatic growth, allowing them to transform their negative experience into positive personal development. Our community partners, nonprofit universities, and local clinics will provide neutral, accessible, operational spaces outside of the VA. Policymakers and funding agencies are crucial. Stakeholders and target audience for the final report aimed at ensuring evidence leads to lasting structural change. What are some obstacles and circumventions that we've noted? Well, there's limited access to VA-based art therapy. Host sessions in community spaces can sometimes create feelings of anxiety, maybe even re-traumatizing. Stigma of fear and participation. Use peer network and private social media groups. Funding constraints will apply for state and federal grants and to provide a foundation. These challenges exist, but each can be met with innovative and community-driven strategies. Action research involves anticipating and overcoming systemic hurdles. We anticipate that these three major issues and proactive solutions are in place. First, regarding access, if VA facilities limit availability, we'll bypass this by holding all sessions in community spaces. This lowers institutional barriers and increases accessibility and participation. Second, addressing participation, organizational stigma and mistrust can cause fear. We recommend trust peer networks and private social media groups to build confidence and normalize participation for a safe interest point. The third, to reduce budget instability, we will actively pursue state and federal grants for veteran mental health innovation, leveraging pilot findings as evidence for advocacy. The proposed solution and intervention in phase 1, which will be months 1 through 3, recruitment, and we'll do our baseline interviews. Phase 2, months 4 through 9, bi-weekly art therapy sessions with reflection. And phase 3, months 10 through 12, we'll use photo voice and YouTube storytelling for a final review. This plan ensures women veterans are central to the design, implementation, and review of the program. The look phase in months 1 through 3, building trust, baseline assessments, and safety protocols with the participants being the lead. The primary intervention, which will be in phase 2, months 4 through 9, combines think and act phases. This incorporates bi-weekly art therapy. We have reflection meetings after creative work where the women view and amend any information as needed. Phase 3, months 10 through 12, is the last act and the review stage using photo voice and YouTube digital storytelling to further their advocacy. Veterans may determine their narrative and track their progress, leading to the final report. The women discuss their art and any methods to improve future sessions. Measuring effectiveness, this will be a mixed methodology. Quantitative, PTSD, depression, and anxiety scales, tracking participation and retention rates. Qualitative, we'll do interviews, focus groups, and art outputs. And using photo voice and YouTube narratives documenting transformation. By combining numbers with lived stories, we can capture not just outcomes, but the meaning behind them. We assess efficacy using a rigorous mixed methodology approach that incorporates both clinical change and transformational growth. We will quantify clinical symptom reduction using validated pre- and post-intervention PTSD, depression, anxiety questionnaires. We will also carefully monitor the participation and retention to assess the program real-world appeal and applicability. For example, the use of open-ended questions such as, how did art therapy benefit you differently than other treatments? If so, how is it different? Were you able to freely express your feelings throughout art therapy? If so, how is that done? The responses would be coded to allow anonymity while examining any trends in data, observing any variables noted, such as age, combat versus non-combat tours, military assailant versus non-military assailant, one-time occurrence versus repetitive occurrences, reported versus non-reported to leadership, comrade versus leadership involvement in the assault, male or female assailants, was there one assailant or multiple assailants, any history of suicidal ideations or suicide attempts, how was your military career affected after the occurrence, was there any history of suicidal ideations, what was the impact on your military career and impact on intimate relationships, influence on employability in the civilian sector. We qualitatively gather voice and experience through in-depth critical qualitative metrics, focus groups, and analysis of the art. This data shows experiential transformation, including self-efficacy and healing. Finally, the photo voice and YouTube narratives are critical qualitative metric because they give documented, participant verified accounts of the change. That shows that the results are valid for our policy stakeholders. A recorded example could be, I couldn't use words. Every time I tried to talk about the assault, I felt myself freezing. But when I painted, I didn't have to translate the pain into sentences. I gave the trauma a shape and a place outside of me. And that act finally gave me a voice when silence was all I had left. Conclusion: art therapy plus action research equals healing and empowerment. The one-year pilot provides evidence for expansion. Collaboration ensures solutions are relevant and sustainable. Throughout this project, women veterans can reclaim their voices, strengthen their resilience, and contribute to the development of more effective and compassionate care systems. The initiative is based on the data that combining this art therapy and action research is the most effective way for women veterans to rehabilitate and regain strength. The one-year trial aims not just to provide treatment for women, but also to produce compelling data necessary to support the extension and integration of creative, trauma-informed therapies throughout the VA system. We ensure that the solutions we develop are meaningful, long-lasting, and grounded in the veteran's own experiences by prioritizing collaboration and the veteran's voice at the center. We want them to turn this pilot study into a national model of care. By working together, it acknowledges that the system failed them and identifies the full scope of the trauma. This concludes my presentation. Thank you. And here's a complete list of the references used to support this proposal. Thank you.